Hi, everybody. Mike Hancock here, and welcome back. On the 8th of November, I am launching my series of books, the David Clarke series, which includes Truth Seekers, which follows the Templar Knights, KV55, which is a story from ancient Egypt, and also Ancestry, which involves the rise of the Fourth Reich. Today, I'm going to be talking about KV55, which is the story about Akhenaten, the rogue pharaoh, the person who changed the religion in Egypt from being the all-encompassing religion, worshipping Horus and Set and all the old gods, to just a monotheistic religion, which is basically everybody honoring the Aten. And particularly in the book is about a particular scroll, a series of tablets that he got from the Babylonian king, which may have had a secret to long life in it. And KV55 is the story of David Clarke, Abby Beck, and Rocco Risotto and their team as they travel all around the world to uncover this plot run by a Finnish pharmaceutical company who obviously wants to make $1 billion or more out of the formulas. So this is all about ancient Egypt. And I want you to understand that Egypt is probably one of the most technologically best places on the planet in terms of what it had in the ancient past. We cannot even imagine today exactly how they did some of the things that they did. So when you grab your copy of KV55, you'll see it's the one with the picture of Akhenaten on the cover. It also plays out a little bit in Europe and in Ireland as well. But getting back to technology of the Egyptians, one of the things that we talk about in the book is how the Egyptians left Egypt at a certain time. A deposed pharaoh, a pharaoh called A-Y, along with his wife, who happened to be his granddaughter as well, leaves Egypt and ends up in Majorca firstly, and ends up in the British Isles, Scotland and Ireland after that. Now, you might wonder how they could have done these sea journeys all these years ago, but these solar boats that were uncovered outside of the pyramids, and one more has recently been found too, I believe, can tell the story. Originally, people were saying these are river boats, but if you look at the high brow of this boat, I snapped this photo at the museum outside of the pyramids. This is a serious boat, and this was a secondary boat. This is not the pharaoh's boat. This is one of the people that go along with that. So can you sail across the Mediterranean on this boat? Well, if you ask a sailor, they will tell you it is possible. Dangerous, but very possible. So definitely this has a high brows, which is one of the coolest things that you have. If you don't need that, if you're on a river, for sure. So what in the end happens in KV55 is the final of that plays out in the best place in the world, I think, which is inside the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid. Now, as I mentioned in my last video, the Great Pyramid wasn't necessarily a burial place at all. The reason why is if you go into the tombs in the Valley of the Kings and you go and look at Ramses II's tomb, and he's probably the most prolific and best-known pharaoh in the whole of Egypt. Tutankhamun wasn't that well known. We just know him because Howard Carter found his tomb intact in 1922. But if we look at Ramses and all of the other pharaohs, Tutankhamun existing, all of their tombs were full of hieroglyphics. There are no hieroglyphics in the Great Pyramid per se. But the Great Pyramid, if you want to read about what I think it is, you can read a fantastic book by Christopher Dunn. He was an engineer in the UK who ran his own engineering business, who basically talks about the Great Pyramid being a power plant. And when you get into what they call the King's Chamber, which is this part right in the middle there, you can see it in red on your screen, which is actually where we play out the final of KV55. You can tell that the walls are burnt, and if you look at the sarcophagus in there, you will see that the sides of the granite are melted. So unless they were like, taking people in there and burning them after death, then I don't think that those fires in there would have melted a sarcophagus, a granite sarcophagus, and even so, a regular fire wouldn't have the power to do this. This is a chemical fire. So if you see also about a third of the way down from the top, you'll see two things written on this. These are actually what they called air vents in the Great Pyramid. but recently they've found to have aligned in ancient times with certain stars, Sirius on one side and one of the other more major stars as well on the other side. And these holes are initially called Gattenbrink's hole because Gattenbrink put a robot into them. Places where they said they poured different chemicals down into that. As you can see on the left there, microwave power input and the same microwave signal input on the right. So they poured different chemicals down there and created a reaction inside of the Great Pyramid. So whenever you go there, you'll go through this place called the Grand Gallery. Now, the Grand Gallery depicted on the picture there is just down to the right and looks like a set of steps or a ramp or a bridge for you, the viewer. This is a place where there would have been Helmholtz resonators, which are the things that capture power and allow power to be transformed, if you like, and move on. And they would have been suspended all along the way, and you can actually imagine them in there. So I want to share with you a couple of pictures that I took myself in one of my visits to Egypt. Actually, they were two separate visits. So here, this first thing may actually look familiar to you. Yes, I wonder where the Wi-Fi icon came from. So that's the first thing I wanted to share with you. It's around about 3,000 years old. And lastly is I want to show you what the Egyptians depicted as a Helmholtz resonator. As you can see, they've got a snake inside a tube. So for it to be inside the tube, it must be glass because you can see through it. What you can't see, because it's just behind me a little bit, but you can see it on the bottom because there's a man sitting on it, is a lead. That lead comes out of the back of the tube. There it is right there. And so literally this snake shaking inside there is just like the filament in a Helmholtz resonator. And then there's a lead coming out, and you can see it here, if you can, actually being plugged into the wall. So guess what? A few thousand years ago, I believe that the Egyptians had some power source. And I think to think anything else might be something where you're relying on the history books as written by the Egyptologists who simply want to prove what they've already said. Go and look at some other things, and I think you might be pretty impressed. If you want to get a copy of KV55, where we do dig into some of these subjects as Abby, David, and Rocco go on their journey of adventure, and looking at how they can literally stop a pharmaceutical company from maximizing some of the workings of Akhenaten and also a king from Babylon as well, then go and check out the QR code here, or simply go to Kindle and type in Mike Hancock, the David Clark series, or you could type in KV55 and that will get you straight to this book, which is book 2 of the series. Here I am in Egypt with my good friend Don Tolman a number of years ago. And somebody pointed out to me a very strange thing in this photo. This is at Abu Simbel. And Abu Simbel is an amazing temple. In fact, in KV55, the team aren't at Abu Simbel, but they're at Lake Nasser, which Abu Simbel is on. And they do sail past the Abu Simbel complex, and they end up in the town, which basically is the front piece to Abu Simbel. But I wonder if one of you can notice what Don's son Tyler noticed at the time there. If you look at the statue of Ramses II, which is up there, and look at the face there, and then look at the face of one of the two gentlemen in the photo, they have a very similar face. Now, I'm not saying this is a reason I have such interest in ancient Egypt and have been to Egypt probably 10 times now and done this, and we'll be back again next year in 2024 as well. But I can tell you this, if you haven't been there, you have to put it on your bucket list. It's definitely a bucket list location. So go and read KV55, go and check out what goes on in Egypt, go and look at some of the stories of the pharaohs and how they may have played out, and also follow the journey of Abby and David and Rocco as something crazy happens there to them. So with that, I'll see you all next time. Catch you later. Bye.